Hello, everyone. I've driven this morning to the very bottom of our wonderful state, nearly to Florida. Many of you may not know that Georgia is the largest state by land area east of the Mississippi River, nearly 60,000 square miles. So it's a long way from one end of our state to the other. You've probably guessed that I'm in Valdosta at the headquarters of Scruggs Concrete, and I'm here with Rusty Ingram this morning. I must confess, when I think about Rusty Ingram, the first thing that comes to mind is not Scruggs or even concrete, but bingo at Ponte Vedra. Rusty, how many years have you been running bingo at the annual meeting?
Well, I would say that it's at least 10 to 15 years. Joel Hammond and myself took that on after W.L. Maddox and Walter Harvard passed the torch down to us, and we bought a new bingo machine, and we've enjoyed it as much as the crowd has.
Well, if you've not been involved at bingo at Ponte Vedra with the GRMCA, you have missed out, because it is so exciting, especially when you see a little 10-year-old girl scream bingo on $1,000 card. It's just it's so exciting. Well, listen, Rusty, let's just dive into the interview, and I always like to begin by just getting kind of a biographical sketch. Just tell us about yourself, and your about you.
Okay, I was raised in Moultrie, Georgia, about 40 to 50 miles from here. My family was originally from the Carolinas, and we moved down into South Georgia in, I guess, the late 50s, early 60s. But I went to Moultrie High School it's now Colquitt County High School, but that's where I had my grammar education and high school education. Then moved up. I went to Southern Tech up in Marietta. Got my civil engineering degree there, and then came back to South Georgia to jump in the ready-mix business. So that's the extent of that.
Well, let's hear. I'm really eager to hear. You've talked before we began the interview. You were beginning to tell me a little bit about Scruggs, which I don't know all the details, and I know our listeners are curious to hear the history. So give us the history of Scruggs Ready Mix.
Well, back in 1963, the company was founded by Mr. Fred Scruggs. He had two sons, Kenny and Farrell. They were in the sand business. Bannock-Burn Sand Company was their first business they got into, and that's about the time the I-75 was coming along and being built, and other projects around. But they first started off, from what I understand, was just a sand truck and a sand mine. And in 1963, they bought a ready-mix plant from Milton Mertz Manufacturing. Put that up, and they I actually called Farrell and got some information from him when I knew I was going to do this interview. He said they started off with two B-model Mack gasoline engine mixture trucks, and that was they also were in the land clearing and grading business. So they started off. There was a couple other small ready-mix plants here in Valdosta area, but they were in the grading business and the contracting business, and eventually got into asphalt and became changed the name to the Scruggs Company, and then progressed to get a little bigger. And in 1974, we expanded the operation to include another concrete plant, which was in Moultrie. And that's when my dad, Pete Ingram, at the
We got a train.
You got if you're near a ready mix plant, you're going to be near a railroad track. So, but anyway, my dad came on board with the Scruggs company in 1974, and over in Moultrie, and I've really never had any other job except working for my dad and working in the summer times. I tried once or twice to wander off for a summer job, but then I'd come right back. So I started with my dad and worked all through high school and worked through college in the summers, and then after I got out of that, came back and just continued to. Actually, when I came back from college, I actually came down and started to work with Farrell and Kenny in Valdosta area in the general contracting work to begin with. Did that for about a year, and then the opening came up to operate the Valdosta main plant, and so Kenny convinced me that would be the way to go, and so I came on board with him down here, and then in 1980 the company split. The asphalt and grading business went in one direction, and the concrete went in another. So we split the company at that time. We kept the name Scruggs Concrete, and the Scruggs company stayed on in the asphalt and the contracting work. And both companies grew and have done extremely well since then. When in '74 when they started the location in Moultrie, we also started our concrete block and building materials business at that time, which my dad was already involved with. So that's when we started progressing that in the Valdosta area as well. From that time forward, and like I said, in 1980 when we split, we kept growing the business. Actually, we opened up a plant in Madison, Florida at that time. It's still there today, and we just from
how far is Madison from here?
We're probably 35 miles away from here to Madison, and then we would continue to grow the business. Every 2 or 3 years we would add a plant on here, and would stay somewhere between 30 and 35 miles away and just put a little footprint, which worked fairly well for us, which complemented our building material in the concrete block side as well. So around mid 1990s, Kenny's son was Jim Scruggs. Jimbo is what we call him. He came on board after he got out of college, and he's been an instrumental part in our business as well, and is still today. We had two other gentlemen, Randy Neesmith and Tim Neesmith. They came on board and have been a big part of our company's growth as well. And Randy recently retired from our company after 30 some odd years, but Tim still works with us, but he runs our complete block operation. But we started with one plant and two in '74, and now we've got 12 plants throughout the.
Wow, I didn't realize there were 12 plants.
Yeah,
that's a big footprint.
Well, and we go from Thomasville on the west side over to Waycross on the east side.
Wow. So, let me ask you, what do you see today? You've been in this business for many years. You've seen a lot of changes. What do you see are the big challenges facing the Georgia ready mix producers? What comes to mind when you know? I don't know if you'd go as far to say it keeps you up at night or that extreme, but just things that you see, kind of looking forward, or the top issues for the Georgia producers?
Well, I've been involved with the association for quite a few years. I've seen a lot of different directors, and it's funny that we sit and talk a little bit beforehand, but everyone seems to bring a strong point. Every one of them has, like, one might have been heavy on promotions, the next one would have been heavy on the legislation side, but I really think today's the environmental footprint and the safety concept that we have. I can remember back, it's been 25 years ago, safety was so, we had it was like Thunder Bay Productions, the association was part of, and they actually came down and did safety videos at our plant. And we found some the other day. It was on some big VCR tapes, but it was almost comical to see what we thought was safety back then, and now we've improved it all so much since then. But the safety side is only there to help us. The promotion side, I think we've all benefited from that in the past. When we were trying to promote concrete parking lots, and we would get out, and that was tough for us because we were selling asphalt parking lots at the same time. Right. So it made a difference. But I think one area that is our legislation side, and Jimmy Cotty did a great job with that, and he helped us with the sales tax situation, which that was good. But I think one of the big concerns that I have is the future of some of our tort reform. I'm really concerned about lawsuits and things that involve our company and the repercussions that we all stand from. That is a big concern of mine.
Right. And that's, as you know, the Governor Kemp came out last year and promised that he was going to make that a big priority for this session, and he's come off that a little bit, but there's still a lot of work going on there, and certainly the association and Emily Engel, who's our Director of Governmental Relations, is heavily involved in that at the Capitol, working to support that effort with the Georgia Chamber. And so, but that is critical, and we hear that very, very often. So as you look back, Rusty, over the years, what are some of the things that you're really proud of as you look back over your life? What comes to mind, things that you look back with pride and delight?
Well, it does me good to try to bring employees on and that don't really know a whole lot about our industry, and try to train them, and especially if they enjoy this type of work, and to see them excel and learn this business, and see them enjoy selling a job, and there's a lot of gratitude in that, and sense of achievement, and when I see a salesperson that has gone out and sold the job with salesmanship as opposed to necessarily with price, that makes me feel good, and I get a lot of satisfaction in seeing the success of an employee.
Well, that really, it kind of leads into my next question for you, because what I'm hearing you say is the the pride that you've had is just working to develop the people in your organization and see them succeed and flourish. And my next question for you is, again, looking back, who are some of the people over the years that were very, very influential in your career and in your life? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think first and foremost, my dad has been my mentor, and he has instilled in me and my whole family just always be the best that we could be, and try to leave things better than when you started with it. And he's always instilled that in all of his children. And the good thing when I started with Scruggs, coming to Valdosta and having someone like Kenny, who was almost like another dad. I mean, I was still young when I, in the mid-20s when I came down here to Valdosta, and Kenny took me on like a son. And even though he had one, he was a lot younger. But he was enabled me to progress in this business just like he had, and we continue to do today. There's other people within the business. W.L. Maddox probably stands out as one of the. He kind of, walked softly and carried a big stick, and he walked to Harvard. These are old school people, but they were two of the. And Joel Hammond has been another person that's really been a person that I looked up and learned from.
And I know that in the past you've been directly involved in the association. So I guess I've got a two-part question as I think about it. The first question would be your past involvement directly with the GRMCA, and well, as you know, it was Georgia Concrete and Products Association early on. But that's part A. Tell us a little bit about how you were involved, and then the second part would be for you to talk a little bit about the benefits to the producers of being a member of our association. What are the things that come to mind? So two-part question.
Well, being involved with the association over the years, and I've been on a few different committees, and that gives you direct involvement. It makes you feel a part of the association, and it enables us to bring back to the association things that are directly involved that we need help with. I remember back when the Sam Marson had the association up, and I would when I would go to Atlanta, I would swing by, and she would have videotapes of certain things that where there would be mixed designs or safety or environmental at that time. She would lend us the tapes. She said, "You bring these back now. We got to put these back in the library." I said, "Okay, we do." And I think I still got some back there on my shelf that never made it back.
Right.
But I'm gonna pause for that train to get by. So, what was the second part of your question?
So your involvement in the past was you worked on some of the committees, and so you've been involved for a number of years. And the other part of my question was, the benefits maybe that you've seen in the past, and the benefits that you're seeing presently to being a member. What are those benefits? What's the value to the folks in our industry?
Well, and I think the benefits are as much as you want to dive into it. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. Our association has, even from the insurance side of it, I remember years ago we had a lawyer basically on board that we could call and ask questions. Basically, it might even pertained to a workers' comp situation, or we had avenues that we could find answers most in any, whether it be insurance, workers' comp, different areas that we normally wouldn't have the answers ourselves, but we could always find them. And that's whether it could be even in technical questions,
right.
and that's been a added plus.
And by the way, Rusty, that's what as I'm out and about and talking to the leaders in the industry. I mean, that's one of the common themes that I hear is just the information exchange. Obviously, legal information. That's the nature of a trade association. We're allowed a lot of conversation about a lot of things: safety, environmental, and technical matters. We can discuss those openly and comfortably, and that's what people really value. Plus, I think it's safe to say, especially when you're at Ponte Vedra, there's a lot of fun and friendship. Any comments on that?
Well, there is, and just the relationships that you form at Ponte Vedra. Whether it be from an associate member or a competitor on the other end of the state, he actually wouldn't be a competitor, but someone in our same business. We share experiences and things that happen to them and the way they handled them, and it could be on the golf course, or it could be out by the beach or in the pool. Listening to Curtis Gould, or there are good times, and my family has enjoyed that for many years, and we all enjoy it. My kids still think they're kids and still want to go, and they're 30-something years old now, so they still get to go. So we have a great time.
It just occurred to me. I'd forgotten one of the impetus for this whole project. It really began, as best I remember now, it was at Ponte Vedra last summer, and I don't remember which night it was. It was Friday or Saturday. It doesn't matter. But I came up on you and Gus and Joel, and y'all were right in the thick of it. You were reminiscing and just telling old war stories. And to watch the three of you, the energy, the animation, the delight, it really got my attention. And at that point, I think, I thought to myself, we need to record and capture a lot of this. And Gus, by the way, he's given me a box of all kinds of association memorabilia. We've not got a final plan on how we're going to completely share a lot of that. We're probably going to have something on our website, an area that we can just have the history and photographs and so on and so forth. We're still working on that because we want to preserve these great memories of a really great industry. So let's see. I think I've got one more question that I do like to ask. I'm always curious to hear especially from folks that have been in business for so long, and is when you think about the new people coming in, young people coming on board, the advice, what you would say. You've got a chance to influence and say, here's some advice from a lot of years and a lot of successes and maybe a few mistakes here and there. So what's that advice for people coming into Ready Mix?
Well, I think one thing, and I'd be remiss if I didn't compliment my wife for first of all, for putting up with these long hours. That's one thing that I think anybody in this business, they better have a strong family relationship, because there are going to be some long hours, and I think anybody that puts their whole heart into it, they're going to have to work the long hours and the Saturdays and sometimes Sundays or whatever it takes to get the job done. And you just to have a strong relationship and family at the house. Everybody's got to buy in. I think that needs to be first and foremost explained, and because if you don't, it will eventually rear its ugly head. And this is, but you get to always enjoy the benefits from it, and I think that's one of the best things that I could make sure that was laid out front. As far as the future, we've been blessed to be able to bring on Justin Womack is part of my company that's going to be the next generation. Of course, Jimbo's here, and then Justin's going to be following right behind, taking my footsteps and moving forward with him. He's a great asset to our company, and I'm glad he's on board, and I can only look for better things to happen with him on board and with Jimbo together.
Yeah, and Justin is literally on board. He's on our board of directors.
Absolutely, and he's going to be a positive asset to the association as well as our company.
Well, Rusty, I'm so glad we got to finally have this interview. I was on my way down here about a month ago, and I got off at Warner Robins to take a quick coffee break, and was rear-ended in my Explorer. I had to turn around and go home. So we quickly regrouped and got this visit scheduled, and I'm so glad we did it quickly. And it's so good to be with you, and of course, very much looking forward to Ponte Vedra and bingo yet again. So I do thank you, Rusty. I appreciate your friendship.
Well, thank you for coming down. I'm glad you had a safe trip down this time, and I want to thank you for putting this together for the association. I think this is such a neat way to find out. So many of the independents throughout the state, or anybody in this business, has usually the same scenarios of events and problems. If it's a problem in North Georgia, it's a problem in South Georgia. If it's a good thing in South Georgia, it's a good thing everywhere. So I thank you for coming down and doing this, and I'd also look forward to Ponte Vedra this coming year, and hope you win at bingo, or your family does.
Thanks again. Take care.